Hello and welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stuart. My guest today is an incredible businesswoman, a realtor, Christy Watson. Christy, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm pretty excited because we're going to talk about an intriguing concept. It's one of your, I think you would even call it one of your life mantras. It's from what you shared, it's a philosophy that you've incorporated into your business life as well as into your personal life. And that is be better today than you were yesterday. Could you share with everyone, what does that mean to you and how does it show up in your life?
I don't think I really gave it a ton of thought until somebody asked me if I had a mantra
Mm-hmm.
or a way that I live my life or, affirmations that I say. And I'm not an affirmation person, generally. Every once in a while that clicks and I need it. And I pull that tool out of my toolbox if I need it. But I don't know if it was the way I was raised. Certainly the way I've raised my kids, is to always, it's fine to have your rest days. We all need our rest days and we all
Yes.
live in the moment, right? We're not always regretting yesterday. Certainly don't do that. And don't be pining for what could be, right? There is the now. But
Mm-hmm.
it's more of a driving force, I want to say, just kind of, it's an outlook and a mentality versus a fixation on the past or the future. And it's, whatever I'm doing today, it can always be better tomorrow. So if I'm
Right.
looking at my systems and I'm like, okay, well, I have these lovely boxes that I send out to my clients or to my referral partners, and I'm always looking at it and saying, okay, well, this is a little dated, or I like the font, or how could it be better? Or what else can I put in there? And I'm always looking at it, and I'm never just saying, okay, that's good enough.
Right.
Tricky because then you can always just be diving and you just have to let something sit for a while. So I try to have some discipline, and, the boxes are a great example. I've got them sitting out there right now, and I will look at it and then we'll make 50 and then I put them on a shelf. And then when we're getting down to the next batch, I look at it again. I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, I'd like to
Should
do
we
this.
tweak it or
Yeah.
polish it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I've done the same thing even, with, I can give you real estate examples, opening the office here in Boulder County.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was an agent
Beautiful
in
Colorado.
beautiful Colorado, Boulder County, north side. It's only 20 minutes from Boulder to Denver. Everybody thinks it's really far. It's really not.
It's really not.
No, no. But, I was doing fine as an agent, but I wanted to do better and just level up. And uh, a little trick that I do with a lot of my passwords is I set my yearly goal
Mm-hmm.
and number of families that I want to help or sides that I want to transact. And I have a new computer, and my husband and I were having a good laugh. And I was like, oh, look how cute that was in 2016. Look what my number was. And I
Yeah.
forgotten, right? How often that's, I guess, not fixating on the past, but trying to be better. Like my password for today is my goal of what I want to have by the end of the year, which is my stretch goal.
Excellent.
And yeah, I change that all the time.
It's that subtle reinforcement. I'm a big fan of that as well. So every time you enter that password, you're reinforcing a subconscious focus on your goal
Yeah,
and making
it's
it
just
more
going to
real.
happen. Yeah, it's absolutely
Yes.
going to
Yes.
happen. Um, I'm not going to give my password to everybody, but it's however you want to think about what that goal is. If it's, winning with X or, what have
That's
you.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, everyone grabbed their pen about a minute ago and they're like, and then
Do
you
you want to
denied
quit?
them.
Do you
Can I
want to
give it?
crush? Do you want to conquer? Do you want to whatever it is that you want to do, right? And so I think and you always need a combination of words and numbers, and
And
why not?
numbers and yeah.
Yeah, a
Right.
big financial goal.
Well, so I know, so this primarily has shown up from what I know in your business life. And I have a very exciting story that I believe you will share with everyone about that. Before we jump into that for a minute, could you share with everyone how this does show up in your personal life? So, how does it show up, say, in relation to your family when you think be better today than you were yesterday in terms of your family? How do you see it show up there?
Gosh, that could take the whole episode, I think. A good one for me personally, I wanted to set a New Year's resolution back when we're going to call it just about 15 years ago.
Hmm.
I hadn't done a New Year's resolution and I just felt like it was time. I was staying at home, had 3 little babies. It was really taxing. I was overwhelmed. And I said, I want to just do that martial arts thing. And my husband said, what kind? I'm like, what do you mean what kind? I don't know. I'm going to go kick some stuff and punch. I
Mhm.
don't know, just say hi.
Martial arts. Didn't you see Karate Kid? I guess
Yeah.
karate. Like,
He's like, "Do you want karate? Do you want BJJ?" I'm like, "I don't know." So I found a place that taught 8 different styles as one. I walked in, I was only going to get to my first belt, just to s that was the goal, like, to learn how to spin pottery or whatever, so get to the first
right.
belt. I fell in love with it, and it, I think, pulled on that rope of always be better. Martial arts lets you do that at your
Yes.
own pace and in your own way, whatever your own style in your body. So I ended up getting my black belt within a handful of years. I didn't walk into that place until I was 38. So that's when I started training. So I got my black belt after that. And I think my
In
kids,
which field? Which field was it? Which,
so
discipline?
yeah, there's 8 different styles taught as one, which sounds like, cage fighting or MMA. It's not. Dana White would not know what we do. So it's a combination of all the styles taught in one building. So it
Okay.
is a combination of karate, kung fu, BJJ, judo, tai chi, weapons, and I always forget one. There's another one that I always forget. um, and I think my kids were there because they were little, and so they would have to sit in the front, and they saw me working hard every day to just do something that I think other moms weren't necessarily doing.
Right.
Like, why do they saw the discipline of it. I think that probably got hardwired into their little brains. And as parents, you just half the time you're just figuring things out as you go. You can have a plan and then life laughs at the plan. And so I think we didn't realize at the time, my husband's very disciplined and very regimented in his goals and what he does, Ironmans and world championships and all kinds of stuff. I'm not necessarily always that regimented. As an example, our kids now we've got an engineer at University of Michigan. She's an electrical engineer, and our son just got into West Point.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And then our youngest is a state, she's state qualified at a high level for discus and shot put. And recently just added hammer throw because
Why not?
other people other people are only doing discus and shot put. And she's like, "Well, I want to be better than those other it's be better than the other people, but she wants to be better." So she added
Yeah.
the hammer throw onto it.
Hammer throw.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So let's shift back to business because you and we met many years ago in the real estate world. It's our chosen industry where we bring our leadership and sales skills into this chosen industry. And I believe that you have a very interesting and inspiring story about achieving success as a luxury real estate agent. And you really, and correct me anywhere I'm wrong, but you made a decision at one point. You already had passion for working with people in real estate, but you made a decision to fully pursue really being a specialist in luxury real estate. And I feel like the be better today than you were yesterday plays into that philosophy. I'm going to call it one of your life philosophies, if that's okay.
Sure.
So could you share with everyone, can you walk us through that journey that you took of you got into real estate, you were a realtor, and you made that choice and then pursued that path? Could you share that story with everyone?
Sure. So I'm a second generation realtor. I grew up doing fix and flips with my dad back in the 80s before it was cool, before it was on HGT. For many decades, had zero interest in being in real estate whatsoever. It was a thing that
Right.
dad did. Didn't want to do anything. That means you're moving shag green carpet out of houses and tearing out toilets and all that. It was not me. And he always had piles of paper everywhere. Always on the
Right.
phone while he was driving, I was like, "Nah,
Yes.
I'm good. I'm good." So I went manage hotels for a long time and then human resources and then client experience for a Fortune 100 company. So I was more of a corporate person. When we
Mhm.
moved to Colorado, I the universe will laugh at you when you make a plan, decided I was going to get my license so I could do fix and flips to have some flexibility with the kids. And
Right.
pretty quickly realized that I really should be working with the public and,
Right.
just in a more broad way. So I spent a couple years trying to figure out where my place was. I didn't know anybody when we moved here. I knew my 3 kids, my husband, and the real estate agent who sold us the house, who's a
Mhm.
lovely lady. And so I had to build my business however I could figure it out. It was like drinking through a fire hose. Like when you start a business, sometimes you don't know where your place is in a certain industry. if I'm gonna sell cookies, well, there's a lot of people who sell cookies. Well, what's different about my cookie? Like,
Right.
ice cream or my food that I serve or whatever it is. Like, how do I differentiate myself? And in the beginning, that was too overwhelming. So I tried everything. And in real estate, as in many industries, there's so many things to try. And
Yes.
I just kind of I did fine. I didn't do terrible, but it really was I wanted to be an expert in my field. So I was fine in trying a bunch of things and eventually, settled into a certain group. And my business coach at the time said, you really should think about luxury, given that
Mhm.
your sphere and the people that you're attracting and the people that you can serve based on these things. I'm like, I'm not fancy. I can't do luxury. Like I grew up a single mom. We went to the beach every day because it was free. Like I'm not luxury. I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, I think you just need to trust me and you need to go do these couple things and just see what happens. And I had enough small successes that I think it gave me the confidence. We always have that imposter syndrome. And I think when
Yes.
you're trying something new, especially when it feels like, oh, I'm going to try to associate myself with a group of people that are maybe different than me, or their money can just intimidate people. And when you think
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
yeah. Like, I don't have a lot of money. So, who am I to say what they should do with their $10 million house or their $4 million house? Like, that's not my house. But at the end of the day, really thinking about the expertise that I did have and that I was able to guide people at those price points. And I did know what I was talking about. And I was more of an expert in this specific part of the world than they were.
Yes.
They were experts in their chosen fields, technology or medicine but I'm the expert in my chosen field. And so once I had a
Right.
couple I'd say smaller wins in luxury, that gave me the confidence to really say, okay, I'm going to chase this. I'm going to chase it hard.
And how did your be better today than you were yesterday impact your progress in this? Did it
One example, I'm sitting in the building right now. So I had a great friend who was a former head of KW Luxury, Leslie Akers.
Mhm.
I had called her about something, just a quick second. She said, honey, can I just talk to you for a second? She's from Texas. And um, I don't know, 5'2" with high heels, and she's
Yep.
just fire. I love her.
Dynamo.
Yeah,
Such a
and
dynamo. And so inspiring.
she's great. And I was in my car. I was gonna go get lunch and was not prepared for, an hour and a half long conversation, but I took pages of notes on little I was pulling out napkins out of my glove box as fast as I could.
Mhm.
And the number one thing that she said, "Write this down." She said, "Honey, I want you to go buy a building." Go buy a building. Sure, let me just write that down. Go buy a building. And I said, "Okay, to what end?" She said, "I want you to open a luxury expansion office, and I want it to be in Boulder County. It's an underserved area in the Denver market, and I want you to own that." That sounds my brain is just like,
What?
how am I gonna do
Right.
that? And
Right.
sure enough, it was a handful of months later. It wasn't I thought it was gonna be like a 5-year plan. It was a handful of
Mhm.
months later, we found the building. After the commercial agent said there wasn't anything, and I said, "Well, in residential real estate, when we can't find our thing, we go door to door and we door knock. So I want you to do that for me." So I
Right.
made the commercial agent go door to door, and that's where we found the building that we're in now. And so I have a mega agent expansion office for Keller Williams in Boulder County. Specific,
Amazing.
it's a luxury building.
Yeah.
And so I had no intentions of doing that 5 years ago at all. If somebody said, "You're gonna have an expansion office, you're gonna have a mega agent expansion office." No, I'm not. And yeah, so I think we started a luxury home tour, right? How I tried to think of all of the ways that I could serve my clients at a higher level. It's not enough to be part of the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing, which is a great resource. Everybody should do that
Yes.
if they're interested
Agreed.
in learning luxury. I attend dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of networking and training specifically for luxury. I do it for
Yes.
land as well because that's a whole different
Yes.
big crossover, but I do it for land
Right.
too because of
You and I both love land and luxury. That's
yeah.
something we both share. Yes.
Yeah. Um, but I think you need when you're, in business and life, when you're learning a thing, if it's trying to get your black belt or real estate or breaking into a hyper focused segment of a thing, is to educate yourself. Just never stop learning and never stop serving. So I think the luxury home tour was a way to continue. There's a learning curve in starting a new business, but that for me was a service to the agents in our area. And then the learning, I'm always learning so I can be better and show up at a higher level for my clients.
Right. I think it's amazing. And now, so when you look at your business today, can you tell us the year, if you recall, where you made that firm decision of, with focused determination, I am going to attempt to increase the ratio of luxury to non-luxury in my real estate business? And can you share what year that was? And then can you give us an idea of how much of your business now is luxury versus non-luxury?
So I think my business coach at the time, that was probably around 2018, and I
Okay.
probably didn't really settle into it until 2019.
Okay.
So I kind of poke sticks at it. I'm generally
Mhm.
fairly cautious as a human being. In business, I show
Mhm.
up as more of a high D. I'm really not a high D. I'm definitely more of a, I need to feel comfortable and proficient in whatever I'm doing. So she said the thing. I sat with it for a minute. I let the seed grow, and I felt it taking root. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it now. I heard her, but now I'm actually feeling it, and now
Good.
I'm gonna move forward. I'm taking action to that thing. That's just kind of how I'm. Some people jump first and then figure it out later. That's not me. I have to think about it,
Wait a
determine
minute.
if I think
Are you
you're
talking
like,
about me?
yeah, you could tell me to do a thing, and you well know that I'm gonna sit on it for a minute until I just don't really want to do that thing until I feel it deep in my soul.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was probably, I would say 2019 is when I made
Mhm.
the decision. No luxury really
Mhm.
to speak of at all. And now I would say luxury is probably about a third of my business.
Mhm.
More than two-thirds is a level just right below that price point, like the signature luxury, like the great
Yes.
into luxury, not ultra
Right,
luxury.
like the above average price point and style for your area. Yeah, it's almost like that like 60 to 75% range of the market, and then 76 and up is kind of that luxury before it gets to that ultra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I
That's
have a handful that are still first-time home buyers. So as an example, my last two closings last year were 300,000
mhm,
for somebody, a teacher who bought a condo in downtown Denver. And then
amazing.
the one right before that was $9 million. We started at 15. We got it down to 9. I represented the buyer in Boulder, and that one was a land house combo. So those were my last two closings last year. That's a little unusual. I'm usually more in the 1 million to 1.5. That's the majority. That's that signature level for me. So
Mhm.
luxury is a big part of it, but it is a very specific kind of customer that I work with that has certain expectations. There's a different language. There are different things and ways in which I need to present my product and my service to them.
Well, and it's funny because you and I, we are talking right now about luxury real estate. However, when I think about it, luxury sales and that clientele that you're describing, it does expand out beyond our chosen industry. And I think what you're talking about, if anyone is in sales and they happen to be listening to us and you want to cultivate more luxury clients, regardless of what you're selling, I do think that the advice you're giving would work pretty much in any industry, unless you're doing pharmaceutical sales, because that's different. But I mean, anything that's consumer facing, you're giving advice that could really be applicable to all of it. And the key thing I'm hearing you say is you have to learn. I don't even like using that phrase. You know me pretty well. I don't like to say have to anything. But it's incumbent upon you to learn the language, learn the data, learn the market, understand how to describe the market to a layperson, and then really know what are the profiles of the typical clients that would be in that realm, and then learn how to speak to them in a way where you can truly listen. I think you would agree, like, when you know what to say, you can actually listen at a much higher level. And then you're giving that customer experience that they're going to appreciate and be drawn to.
Yeah, so it's a little tricky because I have a product that I sell when I'm selling a house, but
Mhm.
really truly think of myself as somebody who's selling services.
Yes.
I'm a consultant. I am a partner with them. My thank you cards say, thank you for allowing us to be a partner on this journey. I am, even though I know what to say and I have the information, that is my job. So way back, I think in my first couple months of real estate, we did objection handlers and script
Right.
practice and the whole thing. And I always felt a little uncomfortable because I'm like, I wing it. You know me. I reading like I couldn't do commercials. It's just not my thing. I did it once and I didn't, they had me not speak. So, but we were doing some objection handlers and the other agent asked me something about, well, why should I hire you? And, what about my house? And I started rattling off some statistics about that particular town. And he said, hold on one second. He said, I'm going to press pause. And he said, where did you dig all this up? How do you know all this stuff? He said, why do you do this all the time? I'm like, yes, at the beginning of every
Yes.
week. It is my job to know they are hiring me as the expert in my industry. And
Correct.
shame on me, I don't have this information. But when I go and I have a conversation with my clients, yes, I have that information. I send it to them in advance and then say we can talk about it when the time is right. But it really is a matter, I think, when you're selling a service to understand why, what's their motivation, what's important to them, what
Yes.
what is going to make them happy, what is going to make them upset. How do I win with you? How do I fail with you?
Yes.
Who else is going to be happy or upset in this process? Why are we doing this? If this doesn't happen, what does that mean in your
What's good?
world?
Right.
I can't
Right.
be in or just if I know the statistics and I just throw all this information at them, but I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, I'm not doing my job.
I agree. And it is a tightrope that or a balance beam, that we stay on. And when you mention that, I also am very data friendly and love it. And one of the key mentors that you and I share is Gary Keller. And Gary says you want to be the economist of choice for your chosen niche and your chosen market. And so by knowing that data, you're the economist of choice. So knowing all of those numbers, you added in that humanity layer of prior to sharing all the data, knowing who they are as people and why this is critical for them and their perspectives and the nuances of how important it really is for them, whether it occurs or not.
Yeah, and I think especially in an age where AI
Hmm.
is going to challenge people's perception of the accuracy of what we are saying and
Yes.
our ability to say, I know that you're typing in these words to AI, and here's what is feeding AI. Here's what's actually typing into the old version of the encyclopedia, right? If grandma's
Right.
typing the words into the encyclopedia, you're going to get grandma's knowledge into that encyclopedia. Right now,
Correct.
AI for my industry is coming from Redfin and Zillow, and not
Right.
not not a full comprehensive. It is, so in our industry, and I think in any industry, consumers, we're used to, opening up our phone and doing whatever we're going to do, our computer, and we're going to get answers ourselves. And it's also sanity checking against what we're saying and being
Yes.
prepared to have a conversation that I know that you're seeing X because I typed in the same questions every day and here's what it's saying. But here's actually some data that AI doesn't have yet. As an example, I was at a Gary Keller top solo agent thing in
Hmm.
Austin in May. I think it was May.
Right.
And a big chunk of what we talked about was AI and just making sure that we continue to be the expert and have the information so we can have those conversations and let people know that when just be ready to do it real time, type in the question and see if it will give you any one iota of the historic graphs that we get even from Keller Williams to
Right.
say, oh, here's what's happening in our industry for the last 50 years. And here's why it's important to you. And it doesn't matter if
Right.
you're in state or copier sales. You need to be more of an
You
expert
need to
than
know.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, stay ahead of that. So you did this, you broke in. It's very respectable. It's a very healthy business in my opinion as a coach and consultant to have a business that's a third of one price strata, third another and a third in another. So I feel like that's a very balanced, really healthy business and it's a real accomplishment to have pulled that off within about 5 years. By the way, 5 years where a little thing happened called COVID, right? So
Yeah.
you still kept moving forward. And that leads me to, I know you've had disappointment, you've hit obstacles, things don't go your way every day, right? However, I have seen myself that you are driven to continue on your path toward your goal. How do you do that? So let's just say that something goes sideways, something goes pear-shaped. How do you pick up and keep pushing yourself forward and keep allowing space where if something could be resurrected, it does. If it can't, it won't. But like, how do you keep going?
It's just how I'm wired. I mean, I don't my husband says I'm weirdly competitive. I think the black belt's probably a good example, right? I am probably one of the most mellow, people-pleasing kinda human beings that when you're sitting down and people ask me if I've ever been a therapist when we go out to dinner, right? I'm pretty chill until I'm not. And once I have locked my target on something, I will not let it go. I can think of 2 examples. The luxury home tour, we started right before COVID, did our big launch party, and then the world shut down.
Right.
And we tried to limp it along for, I don't know, 6 or 9 months via Zoom, and it just wasn't working. We didn't completely pull the pin on it, and we did resurrect it 2 years later and wildly successful.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the very first meeting that we had, one of, a very well-established agent said, "Well, why are you guys gonna succeed when no one else has? Everyone else has tried this, and I don't think you're gonna do it." We basically said, "Hold my beer." Like,
Right.
we're gonna do it," and we did it.
Right.
The other one, is a big transaction I worked on for several years,
Several
and
years.
several
Yes.
years, started at 15 million and outlasted 4 different listing agents.
That's right.
But I knew this was the place for my client, and even at one point, we had been under contract. He was gonna buy the place, we were gonna do the thing, and it didn't come together that time. He even had me looking all over the state of Colorado. He wanted me to
I
get licensed.
remember that. Yes. Yes.
I have to go get licensed in Montana now. It's like, but during this time, right, I'm continuing to learn and educate myself about everything and asking anybody and everything that I can to make sure that I'm serving my client at the highest level. The listing went on and off the market 4 times, and, ultimately with the 4th agent, we got it done, and he lives there and has his family there, and it is a legacy generational property for him.
Iconic property.
Oh my gosh, it's just, yeah, multiple hundreds of acres in Boulder, not just in Boulder County, but in Boulder, which is unheard of. It really is a crown jewel property.
Yes.
And, he didn't want any big announcements, he didn't want media attention, but he's got it and nobody I mean, he can see CU from his land. It is
It's
that
amazing.
central folder, and he basically said, "I want it, we're gonna figure out how to go get it." And I said, "Okay, let's do it." And, we figured it out every step of the way. So even at one point, some of his other consultants said, "We just don't like the deal.
Yeah.
Just not we're not gonna support the deal, just don't like it." And I was looking around, I said, "I've literally uncovered everything else in the state of Colorado. We're even looking at other states. This is what he said he wanted. This is his why." If I go back to many years ago, the reason he said he wanted this thing, it is this place and this place only. You know, will die on the hill of this is
Yes.
the so I don't know how. I don't know. I think it's just intrinsically in me. And there are there are days where you and I talk a lot, and you know, held my head in my hands and like, what am
Right.
I gonna do? And there not that there's not hard days, because there's
Right.
often you have way more hard days than you do easy days. Um,
Agreed. It's not like it looks on TV. I think you and I
no,
can both attest to that.
oh, no, no, no.
Maybe you and I need to launch a TV show that's the real estate and show like what it actually is. The sad thing is I don't think people would watch that. This is probably why they haven't done it. But yeah, there are hard days and you push through them. I would say in one of the things that stands out to me about your level of client experience and your commitment to truly delivering what is best for your client in the moment. And we'll just focus on that one particular transaction for this example is you were committed and passionate about the outcome, but you weren't attached to it. And when the writing would come on the wall that the timing wasn't right at that moment, or some of the other consultants, we were like, we don't back that. You did explore thoroughly, but you didn't fight it and you didn't have an emotional response of any type. It was, all right, what's next? And I do remember. I remember actually there was one day, because I love looking at land, as I mentioned. I was even on land.com, like looking at the state of Colorado and the different sections,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even part of the transaction, but it was like you were so committed to, okay, this is this moment, not having, you didn't make the client wrong. You did not express, you just were detached from expressing any impact it had on you as a person. And I think that just shows that as an agent, you're more committed to the final outcome that's best for that client rather than what is in it for you.
100%. I think that's probably part of the people pleasing part of me, but I think it's very strongly rooted with the beginning of my career. I started working for Marriott when I was
Hmm.
17, and having that hospitality mindset.
Yes.
You succeed in that industry if you truly are wired to have a servant's heart and a servant's mentality, because that industry's hard. People show up, they're
It's
tired.
hard.
They're going to yell at you. They're going to throw cards at you or yell at you, or it.
Blame you for things that are not any remotely in your control.
I should have written a book. I mean, and then to add insult to injury, I went into human resources where get even more. So I think, real estate is
It's a
it's
walk
almost
in the park.
easy, yeah, compared to
Yeah.
that. But I think truly it's just how I'm wired, is to
Hmm.
know that even if it's not the thing that we think it was going to be in the beginning, if it's still the best thing for that person or that family, there's always a win-win. And I love solving the puzzle of how
Yes.
to make that happen. And in
How to
real
make it
estate,
happen.
I never know what tomorrow's puzzle is going to be. And in the moment, it can be super frustrating.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's a job well done when I know that I serve people at the highest level when other people would have given up or just
Yes.
said, deal with it, or don't be,
Or, oh,
you know,
it's not going to work. And they just like walk away and you don't do that.
yeah,
I
even
think I
other
do think
agents.
that's one of your differentiating factors as an agent, and I can say that with confidence, and, maybe not all my listeners know, but I know agents legit all over the whole country and the parts of Canada where people live. Yeah, so it's like and I just do think that's one of your very strong leading suits. So it's and I do feel that the life philosophy of be better today than you were yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that allows you to minimize the emotional impact or the personalization of something not going your way. I think it allows you to focus on what you are able to control and what you cannot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm human. Clients are human. We're all going to mess up at some point, or things are not going to go
Mhm,
right. I even have this thing that I have to give credit to one of my dear friends, Randy Antonio out of Hawaii.
mhm.
And I've adopted this into my conversations with my clients, is that we have 3 surprises in every transaction. We don't know if they're gonna be happy surprises, that they decide, they're going to leave all of the beautiful furniture that we thought, they were gonna take with them, and they're gonna give it to us for $100. Oh my gosh, that's the best surprise.
Right.
Or we're gonna have a surprise we really don't like, and there's a million examples of that. Or, just the surprises either are typically good or bad. The ones in the middle we
Right.
don't really consider a surprise.
Yeah.
But I think it helps prepare clients that things are not always going to go according to plan, because there's humans involved. There's
Yes.
human paperwork and money, right?
Yes.
We system, and that's why we have our systems, but we're also human, and things get missed, people make mistakes, things don't show up on time, vendors don't do what they're supposed to do, things will break, and it's my job to help them get to the end result.
Navigate it. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, with the least amount of stress and least amount of and I think that's definitely something I'm really good at, and enjoy getting people through to the end process with as much grace and sanity as we
As
possibly can. It
possible.
should be fun. At the end of the
Yes.
day, what we do, it really should be a happy, joyous thing, and it can be stressful. I
Right.
think no matter what your industry, knowing that, your customer, your client is going through whatever their own truth is in that day. Their kids might have been crazy. They might have just,
Yes.
they
Yep.
yell at road rage on the way to that business to go buy the cookie. And
Mhm.
we don't know why they're showing up the way that they're showing up. But, just
Right.
giving people that little bit of grace and saying, okay, I am the expert. How can I help you? And that's, I think, humanity too, just, trying to make us all have a better day today than we did yesterday.
Well, I wanna jump back to what you mentioned with that background in hospitality. So 2 quick things about that. I actually feel like that is a great training ground for agents. So if anyone out there happens to be listening to the 2 of us talk, and you're in hospitality and you think about getting into real estate, it is one of the industries with the strongest crossover of being successful because the training, as Christy, you mentioned, that you receive there is a perfect match for creating a client experience that's memorable in real estate. And so that's one thing. The other thing is sometimes when I'm coaching an agent and they're in a particularly down place, I actually use hospitality as a, well, at least you're not in hospitality. That's all, right? Like, so if they need that little nudge and they're like, "I know." Yeah, so it's just funny that you mentioned that. I do have several clients and colleagues with strong backgrounds with Marriott and also with a Ritz-Carlton, which, now they have a thing together, but at the time I don't believe it was together. And Tanya Klett was one of my guests, and she has a massive background in hospitality. So it's just kind of cool hearing that come up again and made me think that I wanted to share it. It is a good crossover into real estate.
So I don't get paid for this at all, but Ritz-Carlton does have a training program that you can go through
Yes.
regardless of your industry.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to work for Marriott when Marriott acquired the Ritz-Carlton
Mhm.
hotel chain. So
Mhm.
as a manager, I was in charge of training everybody and bridging the gap between the way Marriott had trained in adopting the Ritz-Carlton standards,
Yes.
to the point where we had little cards in our pocket and we
Yeah, the
would
Credo card, right?
yeah, we're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
what's number 17?" And when we point, we don't point like this, we point with an open hand and,
Mhm.
what are our standards and expectation? And no matter what your chosen profession is, you should have your standards, and we all know that, but really truly living them, writing them down as a leader and as a business person and knowing these are our standards, these are our expectations. And if you're not really sure that Ritz-Carlton, I don't even know how many, it's a couple-day program, they've been doing it for a couple
I
decades
went
now.
and I loved it.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely
really,
loved it.
really great. And even if you've done it before, send your people
Yeah.
if you're not sure.
Or do it again. You're inspiring me. I'm like, "It's been a few years. I wanna go do it again." Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's really a
it's
good
one of the
training.
reasons I chose Keller Williams is we have a very strong focus on training, and ongoing just improving yourself and just, they were voted number 1 training company several times, right? And now they
Mhm.
can't
Right.
win anymore. We have to give it to other people. You can't compete anymore. Specifically within luxury, so Brady Sandall now is our director of growth globally for the luxury division, and, he was with Ritz-Carlton for a while, and we have so much ongoing training. I'm even
Yes.
doing one next week in our Denver North office, talking about our service standards and how do we elevate our businesses to the next level, both to serve our teams and the people who support us, but also our clients at that next level. So,
I wish I
um
could be there
yeah. Well, next time. We'll do it
next
again.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has really been intriguing. I like for my guests to share one action step. So, if someone has been with us through this conversation and they know that they would like to break into luxury or they would like to have a significant change in their business, maybe they want to get into commercial, maybe it's a different niche, or maybe they want to change careers. If they're sitting there listening to us and they're thinking about that, be better today than you were yesterday. What is a one bit of advice if someone feels overwhelmed or they're not sure that first step to take? What advice would you give them to get clarity to move forward?
Find somebody who's doing what you want to do and ask for their time. Be really respectful, knowing that they probably get asked a lot for their time.
Mhm.
And knowing that not everybody that you ask will be able to give you the time, and don't expect for them to be the person who's following up to make it happen. Don't be annoying and pursuing
Right.
their time, but be respectful and don't spend 3 hours or 2 hours when 30 minutes will do. Have a list of very specific questions that you would like to make the most of that 15-30 minutes that you have to say, this is what I would like to do. I'm not really sure the best first couple steps. What would you recommend I do? Here's what I had. And if they're not sure, say, okay, here's what I have in mind. I was going to attend the Ritz-Carlton thing, or I was going to read some books. Do you have any books specifically? Ask pretty pointed questions for that expert. I didn't know when I started training for my black belt what I was doing. And so I
Mhm.
showed up every day saying, show me what I can do. And then eventually, if you can teach the thing that you learned, you become a master at it. Right. And so that
Right, right.
open to learning. You ask, you learn, you practice, and when you feel like you're getting to a point of not even mastery, but some proficiency, teaching it really solidifies.
Reinforces it.
The sooner you can do that, that's also very helpful.
I think that's phenomenal advice, and I agree with you. Be very respectful of the time. I actually would recommend that you set an alarm to go off when the allotted time ends and respect that time. If anything, it's better to have them you leave them and they maybe have curiosity or want to know more about you than for you to overstay your welcome and they're being polite and letting you stay. So that's a really excellent first step.
Yeah, and I
And
think a warm introduction is always helpful too. So even if you know somebody that knows the person that you need to
mhm,
chat, or even if they're not at the pinnacle of the level that you think is the ultimate here, start with somebody that maybe has had some success and will have give you different perspectives. I can talk to somebody who does a third of their business in luxury, and they're going to give me a very different set of recommendations based on the personality, the part of the country they live in, what their the way they grew up, just the way they run their business is going to be a completely different set of examples that I am my mind is going like if I ask, Liza in Utah, she's gonna give me a completely different answer than her dad who's in Tennessee and they ran a team
right,
together. But if I have these
right,
conversations,
right, right.
two completely different sets of here's what you should do based on the human being that I'm talking to, which is all
Yes.
very
It
yeah.
is, and I think that increases versatility. Not to get on a whole other side note, but when you talk to those different people and you get the different insight, if you allow it to absorb and internalize it, then you become more versatile depending on clients that you meet and situations you find yourself in.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Well,
have to be.
this has been fantastic. I just want to reiterate that you have the Christy Watson homes in Boulder, Colorado, but you actually serve like the greater Denver area and the mountains, right?
Yeah, the
And
mountain.
yeah, a secondary market in the mountains. And you're with Keller Williams Preferred Realty. And anyone, I'm going to have all of your contact details in the description for the podcast. So if anyone wants to reach out to Christy, please do. Christy, thank you for being our guest. I hope that you'll come back and we can dive into other topics. And of course, if you're listening, I hope you'll come back as well to the next episode of The Interstate. Thank you so much and have a great day.